We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 100 of the Croydon Constitutionalist podcast, bringing classical liberalism to South London and beyond via our YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Dan Heaton, and my partner in podcasting today is Mike Swadling, the co-founder of the Croydon Constitutionalists. Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Dan. Looking forward to celebrating or commemorating our 100th episode.
Indeed. So, Mike, it only took us just over 7 years to make it to our century of podcasts, but we have achieved that. What does it feel like to be a centenarian?
Much like a lot of life these days, hard slog to get there. No, it's been good. We've done a lot of different things and tried out a few ideas whilst doing that, and uh, hope to make this one at least a little bit different to commemorate the fact that we've finally got past 100 of them.
Indeed, I'm still awaiting the telegram from the King, which I'm sure will be with me in the next few weeks. So Mike, yeah, we've got to 100 podcasts, but the Croydon Constitutionalists has been around for just over 7 years, as I say, and we've done more than just podcasts, just you and me talking or having a guest on. Why don't we just remind people, indeed, perhaps remind ourselves,
Indeed.
why we started the Croydon Constitutionalists in the first place?
Well, I remember a conversation between us. Some point in 2017, I think it was, talking about the fact that we weren't terribly enjoying this party politics malarkey, but we had enjoyed running on ideas and issues, and particularly through the Brexit referendum, and that we wanted to focus more on ideas than elections than getting elected. And I think, there's room in our political debate for both. Both are important. You do need people to run as candidates and get elected. And indeed, running as candidates is often what gets a focus on ideas. But also, you do sometimes need to talk about ideas and bring people together around a sort of a common set of thoughts. And that's something we wanted to do. And we wanted to do it predominantly locally in Croydon. And that's where we came up with the idea. I think you came up with the name. And then I note that our first posting on the website was in May 2017, 2018, sorry. And it kind of run from there. But we'd already started organising meetings at that stage. And indeed, I think we'd already held one.
Yes, I think we held wasn't it a sort of Brexit meeting, a meeting to talk about the potential future trade deals. I seem to recall at Clyde Hall. Is that the one you're thinking of?
That's right. So we held three fairly big meetings early days. Can you remember what they were called?
Oh, I certainly can't know.
No, I only can because I looked it up a few minutes ago. And Britain's opportunities outside the EU was our first meeting with Chris Philp MP, now the Shadow Home Secretary, and David Curtin, GLA member. You'll note as we go through this that many of today's names started with the Croydon Constitutionalists, or at least we like to think so. Um, we then held one on democracy, if you can remember that, and one on free speech, both at the Green Dragon.
Ah, yes, indeed. When venues were a little bit easier to get hold of, but of course those were in the days, the good old days, if you like, pre the beginning of 2020 and the infamous lockdowns, which really made us focus more on the podcasts at that time. Obviously, we'd done some podcasts and done some recordings of meetings, but clearly, when you're stuck at home, but you have the technology now, which all of a sudden everybody decided they understood how to use, and so that's really why we started to do more podcasts at that time, and it was good because it meant we could get guests from further afield. It wasn't just people who we would actually go and meet up with. As good as that is, it gave us a bit more room to talk to people from other parts of the world and certainly other parts of the country. Mike, it was a real sort of revelation really at the time, and obviously it gave us something to do.
It really was. Yeah, it really worked for us. As you mentioned, it gave us an opportunity to meet some people from around the country and speak to them as people we sort of knew online but hadn't really engaged with that podcast was a start of doing that, and then eventually, when the world opened up, we went to meet some of them. We definitely got to speak to people that I don't know that we'd speak to face any other way. And it was good to be able to work regularly with some people. And both of us work, and lots of the people we speak to work. And you've got busy lives, and actually scheduling an hour or two to do a podcast is much easier than arranging a meeting and getting people out there. And indeed, it's a much more convenient way for people to listen to us. So I think that's been a good part of it for us. Of course, before we got to the podcast, I just want to say there's a few things that happened in terms of what we'd been expecting to work on, and I think we as a Croydon constitutionalists, we had a few principles, if you like. So if I look at what our founding statements were, if you like, we welcome different views of freedom, but broadly we're in favour of Brexit, low taxes, free speech, free markets, and rational science, not climate alarmism. Now, whilst we put Brexit first, I think we thought that was done when we started. We'd won the referendum. Theresa May's government was working towards leaving the EU, and then that somewhat got derailed. And our first couple of years was spent in very heavy part on things like the Leave Means Leave campaign and campaigning to actually make sure the politicians listen to the people.
Indeed. I mean, I distinctly remember going to, I think it was Caterham we went to, because the MP there at the time, Sam Geema, was basically campaigning for a second referendum. So we thought it was apt to go out one Saturday and talk to the people there locally. And it's fair to say he's no longer the Member of Parliament. So it's good to make a bit of a difference occasionally.
It is indeed, and on a similar theme, something I think we didn't expect to be dealing with when we started doing this, but we spent a lot of time on was the implosion that is Croydon Council. When we started, I don't think things were healthy at the heart of Croydon. The council was complaining it didn't have enough money. Clearly, there were debts racking up. Not all of us were happy with the work of brick by brick, but what came next, I think, probably even shocked the most cynical of us, which we may sometimes be considered. I don't know. What were your thoughts on how that came along for us?
Well, some people would say it was a godsend. I wouldn't because I pay a lot more in my council tax now. But Croydon became famous or infamous, or notorious, if you like, at a national level for the antics of the council. But it did give us the opportunity to work with the Taxpayers Alliance, and we've worked with them quite a bit. Yes, in terms of Croydon, but other things, and we've had people from the Taxpayers Alliance as guests on our podcast and guests in some of our meetings. So that's been really good to make contact with those people, and yeah, it's sort of it's given us a bit more of a wider stage. So thank you, Croydon Council, for being so bad.
Yes, indeed. That's right. That has been that problem for it. Move us on slightly, Dan. Something that's been a common theme through our time has been regular drinks. And indeed, at one point we had a pubcast. Not sure what happened to that, but regular drinks of Third Wednesday and other types that we've done over the years. Maybe just think about. And I'm sorry if I bring a tear to your eye here. Think about some of our venues.
Well, yes. I mean, one of the venues that we certainly used to frequent was the Skylark on South End in Croydon. That's been gone for now 3.5 years, amazingly. But yeah, we go to the George. That's where we've been having meetings most recently. We've had other venues which have been more conducive to having public meetings with guests, or where we've had our sort of merry throng have been the star turns, such as when we've done my Tuppence-worths. I think those have been a good way of allowing people to give their Tuppence-worth and to be tested by way of Q&A. So yeah, so those have been some interesting venues. Unfortunately, we're no longer able to use the venue that we used to use for public meetings due to some antics of some rogue people who claim to be against certain things, which really what they're against is freedom of speech. But hey ho,
Yes.
we will look for some alternative venues and see if we can't get some more public meetings in due course. But But yeah, the third Wednesday drinks, which we've been able to sort of tie in with Dick Dellingpole's third Wednesday drinks, and indeed working with a group that was set up over the last few years called Politics in Pubs. So it's been good to work with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been great to get noticed by some national groups and get people along because they know the national groups and they sort of work together. And that was, I think, always a bit of a vision of ours that whilst we're the Croydon Constitutionists, there would be other groups that we could partner with around the country that were doing similar things and share ideas and generally have a kind of a network of people spreading classical liberal ideas in the same way that we very much hope to do. You mentioned, some of the bits that work well there. I just wonder maybe that brings us on to our next subject, which is what do we think's worked well and maybe a bit of what's worked less well. Do you want to maybe start us off with one or two from each, Dan?
Well, I think the public meetings have been mostly worked well. Some guests are more people are more likely to turn up for than others. I think the thing which unfortunately has gone, right down, probably in lots of places actually, is now the lack of venues. I've mentioned it already, but it really is a problem for us, and indeed, I guess it's a problem for other organisations. Some places are easier to agree terms with and to host meetings. I think we've had, say, some good podcasts. We've had some great guests. It's been good to work with Net Zero Watch, but I think, yeah, it's the lack of venues that's caused us most issues as far as I'm concerned.
I would add to that as well. I think post lockdown, people turning up to events
Yeah,
has really really dropped off. It's a real pity. And I think that's and I'll tie into that. I know we tried to do some Zoom meetings during lockdown,
we did.
and I thought they didn't really work. Unfortunately, we had some guests on them, and thank you for the people that took part. And it's no fault of theirs. I just think the people turning up, the model didn't quite work, and of course you were competing against national broadcasts happening almost every day and still do on a lot of online platforms. And I think that was always going to be a struggle for us. The advantage of a face-to-face meeting is that we're local. Um, yeah, and that, along with venues, has created a few challenges. I was going to add a couple of things in terms of what worked well. You mentioned my tuppence worth. I think they've gone very well, given people a chance to speak and give their tuppence worth. Try a little short speech. Has been really good. And for those that don't know, certainly Dan, you and I have both been candidates. We've both had to speak at various events. It's quite hard if it's not something you do all the time. And I used to do a lot of speaking at public meetings at work, not public meetings, they're work meetings, but big meetings, and that nature of my job has changed, so I don't do that so much these days. But that's often to a slide deck, and it's very different when you're trying to give a little speech off a script or answer a Q&A. And I think it's been good that we've given people that are interested and involved in politics, some of whom have been candidates, an opportunity to do that, and also just give people a chance to air their views and put them to the test. So I've enjoyed that. Moving on from what's necessarily worked well so much, to just what are you most proud of? What are the things we've done that you think, oh yeah, I'm really pleased we got the opportunity to do that, and we've made a bit of a difference there, Dan. Anything from your thoughts?
Well, I think if we go back to 2022, and there was the first ever elected mayoral election in Croydon, and we put on a alternative hustings for people who were standing as candidates in the area, whether it be for mayor or for local for the council itself, because whilst there were some mayoral hustings in various parts of Croydon, it was basically a cartel of the time what were considered to be big parties, whereas we allowed other people to come along and sort of say their piece and indeed be questioned. So I thought that was quite a good thing that we did. And crikey, it's the elections coming up again next May, so we'll see if we can manage to do something like that for the next time.
Yes, absolutely. That's definitely something that that was good to do. And I think we've generally been a bit of a voice for people that otherwise wouldn't necessarily have much of a voice when they're running for candidates. For anyone who's listening to this that's ever thought about running or ever wondered what it's like, you often as a candidate, barely anyone knows who you are, barely anyone takes any notice of you. The people that do are often people that are trying to be, shall we say, less than kind, although often they come from parties that believe themselves to be very kind. You take on a lot of stress and pressure, often some cost, and get very, very little in return. And it's been good to give a voice to some of those people when they are running. I've really enjoyed the interviews that we've done with candidates from a range of parties that I think otherwise, will be lucky if they got two lines in a newspaper through running for council or running even sometimes in by-elections. It's been good for you to do that. I was going to say something else I think I've really enjoyed that we've done with the international interviews. We've interviewed particularly libertarian parties around the world, but some other international interviews. We interviewed a MP from Georgia, the Libertarian Party of India, Germany, Portugal, Norway, and quite a few others that I can't Switzerland. I can't remember them all. But I think that's been really interesting to get a different perspective on what's going in the world and the calls for freedom from different countries.
Oh, absolutely. And and we've done some work where we've interviewed people from the smaller parties in the UK too, such as the SDP, even some really small party that I don't know if anybody's heard of yet, but it's called Reform UK. Uh,
Yes.
I remember when there was only two of them, and as well as libertarians and independent candidates, but who are running with a sort of a zeal of libertarianism. Absolutely, that's been great to do, and anything which gets people, paying attention. I think rather than just thinking it's just these candidates and they're all the same and what have you, it's been good to give people that opportunity.
Well, indeed, and I wouldn't want us to take too much credit, or indeed perhaps any for it. But it is interesting that you mentioned earlier at the time the big parties, the two and maybe well the two parties that everyone assumed would really the mayoral race in Croydon was before, and indeed it may even be again. But nobody nationally thinks that they're the two parties that are going to make the most difference at the next election although they are still the party of government and opposition, we are in a time of not necessarily all being parties we agree with, but smaller parties from left and right that are very much making the headway in politics as we speak.
Indeed. So it's been an interesting seven and a bit years, but it looks like there's going to be some interesting times ahead too. So, Mike, what you thinking we should be doing over the next 7 years, if you can think that far ahead?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Well, I mean, the short term we've got up until the local May elections in Croydon. I think that will be a bit of focus for us because there'll be a lot going on, and for those that don't know, across London there will be elections, local elections in May, and indeed other parts of the country. But we are the Croydon Constitutionalists. I think some more face-to-face meetings. We need to get those public meetings. They might not all be local. We might move around a bit. We might try some different things. It's so hard to say, isn't it? I think that there is going to be if the next election looks the way it's going to go, which is possibly a crashing of both the Conservative and Labour parties. I think we're going to see a massive fight back by an establishment that's seeing itself in its last throes, and that is going to be an infringement on all of our liberties. So I don't know what those and I don't hate to put it like this, or I hesitate to put it like this, but what those opportunities for the Croydon Constitutionalists to get involved and campaign and speak to the people involved and get involved in those issues will be. But I think sadly there will be all too many of them over the next few years as the people in charge today realise the time is up for them. I don't just mean that as politicians. I think that's probably true of the establishment more generally. But so yeah, there'll be opportunities, and I hope we keep being able to speak to some of the smaller parties, whatever they might be. uh, in time and give people running for elections a bit of a voice, give ideas a voice. I don't know, Dan, any other thoughts from yourself?
Well, I mean, I guess one campaign that may be coming up, if indeed it is, I mean, we're not going to get a vote on it in the same way we didn't really get a vote on the ULA's expansion, but the whole digital ID that's being
Yes.
talked about. Tony Blair has told Keir Starmer what to do, and so he says he's going to do it. I mean, government IT projects don't usually work, so I have my doubts that they'll actually be able to do it. But yeah, that might be a big a big thing that we might get involved in campaigning against over the next few years.
Very, very much so. No, it's a very good point. I think it's something that we see groups coming together against it. I think if there are people in Croydon interested in getting involved, feel free to get in touch, and I think we'd be interested in discussing what we can do and how we can partner on that.
Absolutely. Well, let's not worry about the next 7 years just now. What are we doing on Wednesday the 19th?
So, as mentioned already, a regular feature of our events has been a chance to get together and have a drink and have a chat. Wednesday, the 19th of November. So that's yeah, Wednesday the 19th from 7 p.m. in the George in Croydon. We will be there having our regular drinks. We tend to be somewhere up the back. Come and find us. And yeah, come on down and share a chat and get to meet some like-minded people.
Excellent. Really looking forward to it. Well, if you would like to contact us, whether it to be campaign against digital ID cards or just to say hello, you can do so via the Twitter at Croydon Const, via our Facebook page, via our website, croydonconstitutionalist.uk, or via email, contact at croydonconstitutionalists.uk. Well, do please subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. We've done 100 of these now, so let's see if we can could do another 100 over. Hopefully, it won't take 7 years, but do please like, share, and leave a review. It helps others to find the podcast. So, Mike, I'd like to thank you for your company on the 100 podcasts that we've done so far, and look forward to the next 100.
And fully reciprocated, and indeed, likewise, very much.
Thank you to everybody for listening. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Stay free, everybody.